Imagine having your own secluded African bush home where you and your friends can enjoy the ultimate safari experience. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, this could become a reality. Tumbeta House is located in the heart of Djuma Private Game Reserve, the home of Wild Earth. You could win a chance to stay at this intimate wilderness retreat, offering you the rare and highly sought-after privilege of your own home in the bush. The prize includes 3 nights for 6 people and includes daily game drives, a chance to see the Wild Earth Camp, and have dinner with one of our guides. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer before the end of February 2021, and you could be heading to Djuma, the place that we call home. Available dates are limited, so terms and conditions apply.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the live safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, Corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this unbelievable sunrise that we're experiencing here at Untitled this morning, straight out of the lodge, and what a way to begin. We're coming to you live from Untitled Private Game Reserve, and welcome to your live safari this morning. It's a beautiful, cool day. There's a crisp breeze blowing, and there's a nice layer of cloud cover. So I think we could be in for a good morning of game viewing. There's plenty of opportunity for animals to move around this morning while it's still cool, and what they call hunting weather. But once again, welcome to your live safari this morning. We are here at Untitled Private Game Reserve. We've got Trish in Djuma, there's Fred at Ngala, and also Steve in Pridelands this morning. So hopefully we can bring you some amazing wildlife experiences this morning. Wow, these shafts of light coming down out of the clouds are just incredible. That sunlight is actually probably shining down onto the Indian Ocean. Just beyond those little hills there is the Indian Ocean. Those hills are actually the sand dunes, the coastal dunes on the east coast of South Africa. So it could be a good beach day today. Who knows? My name is Ross, and behind the camera today is Simon, and we're coming to you live from and beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. A little breeze blowing as well. And speaking of the weather, we are going to tell you now a little bit about the weather, show you what's going on across the different locations where we'll be streaming from you today.
Good morning. Welcome to Pridelands Eco Training, where we are surrounded currently by a hive of activity of wildebeest, and in front of us loads and loads of impalas, which we're going to go to in a moment. Hello everybody, my name is Steve, joined by Hannah Cameron, excited as always to have you with us. We hope you're ready to jump on board and send through all the questions you like for us here at Pridelands, because we're very excited as always to be out and about. It is a little bit cool this morning, it's a bit chilly. And there is definitely some rain on the horizon, although we can kind of smell it. I don't know what time it's going to fall. So we're going to keep a little bit close to camp. This herd of impala have all gone mad. They've all gone mad. The youngsters are all doing the rocking horse gait. And there we go. The boys are kicking in. Here's a youngster. The testosterone is in the air, everybody. I'm just getting a hold of speaking for a moment, allow you to enjoy this beautiful scene. Safari detective, they sure are bouncy. And then they come through a little area where a male is, and he just goes crazy and has to chase them. You can hear that snorting. Everybody's being chased today. So that kind of jumping run that you see the impalas do is called the rocking horse gait. It enables them to cover an enormous amount of area and also advertises their fitness. It's something they generally use when they see wild dog or cheetah to say, hey, I'm strong, I'm fit, you won't catch me. But this time of morning, I think they're all just warming up. Well, I've no doubt, because it's a little bit colder this morning, Trishala's feeling a little bit chilly. Now, hopefully she warms up as she says good morning.
Good morning, fine safari fans. This is an insane start to the morning. There's about 4 hyena and, of course, the wild dogs, but they were sitting next to each other without confronting each other at all for a lot of the time. And now all of a sudden one of the youngsters is getting harassed. And they're very quiet, not a sound and nothing. Very, very cool. So much interesting behavior to learn by watching these two animals interact. I'm excited. I hope you are. It's me. It's Trishala. Got him Paul on camera. We're so revved up. We already had too much coffee. Listened to Lambada in the morning. It was just too much energy. And this sighting to start it off. Wow. This is a good time just to watch for now. Swazi, but we're actually quite far away, as we wanted to give them enough space. You know, with wild dogs, it's very, very important, especially if you want to see what's happening, to give them enough space, because they run all over the place and things could happen so quickly. But how amazing that they just, they may have been harassing a hyena, but not too much violence. In fact, a lot of the time they look playful, but if you look at their ears are pulled back, the hyena's ears, when the wild dogs were around them. Sir 50, I know. What a cool sighting indeed. That's just such an excellent opportunity to get to watch them. Because often we'll get questions like, oh, what would happen if hyenas and wild dogs met? And we've seen it before, but in a different type of scenario. In a scenario where wild dogs are hunting and the hyenas want their food, and then that's a whole different thing, because now if the hyenas get their food, the wild dogs' survival is compromised. So things are a lot more violent. Now it's just so civil. It's amazing. Maybe it's because of how numerous the wild dogs are. There's so many of them. I'm just going to grab out my binoculars if they're close by to see who we've got hyena-wise. That was some hyena on hyena action and giggle there. really didn't expect this type of action so early in the morning. I was headed to the den, and they're not far from the den at all. Maybe just a couple of 500 meters or so from the den. Maybe not even that much. I cannot believe this. And they're being so playful. I think this is the Mbali pack for wild dogs, but I haven't had a good enough look at them yet. So I know that James Richard would know as soon as he sees them, or at least if we get a good view. Even though they're being playful, the hyenas, it's hot at the end. It looks like her, but if you watch them, they're being playful, but their ears are still pulled back a little bit. Yeah, watch here, watch here. Look at those ears. This is crazy. James Richard, do you think this is the Pungwe pack? That is awesome. I think yesterday Tristan said he had the Mbali pack. And if it's a Pungwe pack down here now, that would be awesome, because that's two different packs of wild dogs we're seeing in as many days. Lioness Love, you'd like to know if the wild dogs and the hyenas will fight over prey? Most definitely. That's why this is such an amazing sighting, because that's what we always see. It's always a high intensity, high energy interaction when we see them together. But now it's fairly relaxed. It's normally quite a noisy affair, but today it's so quiet. Sorry, I'm keeping my voice low, guys. It's just that there's other vehicles in the sighting. And we're not too far away from each other. of movement now, so let's see what happens. Oh, you can see that Swazi's leg is still not doing well. He had an injury on his leg last time Tristan saw him. But at least it's not looking too bad or as bad as it did. I've never seen a wild dog and hyena interacting like this, ever. Dina, you'd like to know if the wild dogs would be a threat to the cubs, the hyena cubs at the den? Absolutely. Like I said, they're about 500 meters from the den. Maybe that's why the hyenas are just trying to, keep tabs on them. If they chase them, they could chase them towards the den. Oh, look at the standoff. Ooh. Oh, Swazi. You'll find that young hyenas still need to learn quite a bit about these interactions. You find that they get injuries quite often, and a lot more often than the adults do. Last time I remember Sutu with wild dogs. Oh, she was catching it that time with James, and this pack of wild dogs that kept chasing her off and nipping her on the butt. But you'll find the older ones are staying away. It's hot. Chandra, you'd like to know which one usually dominates the other, wild dogs or hyenas. It depends a little bit on how many hyenas there are. If there are more hyenas than wild dogs, then the hyenas can dominate. But generally, the wild dogs are a lot more numerous. And they're also a lot quicker and a lot more agile. And that can be something to be very nervous about, because they can kind of be everywhere and anywhere around you. So the wild dogs will tend to dominate over hyenas, unless there are very, very many hyenas around and fewer wild dogs. If a wild dog gets cornered, a single wild dog gets cornered by hyenas, then, that's clearly a hyena's win. But with this number of wild dogs and this number of hyenas, usually they'll have one or two following them. So there's 4 around. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. There's more playfulness happening between the hyenas, or more physical interaction happening between the hyenas than are happening interspecies between the wild dogs and the hyenas. they're creating a bit more distance between them now. But I think we're gonna be in for some craziness very soon, because those wild dogs are gonna want to hunt. And you know what it's like to follow wild dogs on the hunt, and on top of that having hyenas around. Epic. It's going to be absolutely insane. So like I said, they're creating a bit more distance between them. Now we can just kind of see a heart and a bit of the wild dogs. So I'm going to try and reposition. See if we can see both of them.
February is the month of love, and nature is no exception. Tristan and Trishala will be igniting the flame to discuss the bonds formed in the African wild. Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire on Sunday, the 28th of February. Wild Earth Explorers. It's in your nature.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
The croc is still holding another one there. It's holding from the hindquarters. I would really want. The wildebeest cross, is it trying? The croc is holding the tail. It's holding tight. Oh no. Goodness me. Lucky wildebeest. You have another day to live.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
My word, look what we found on top of this grassy, windswept hill. Two male lions, dominant males of the south of Phinda. And they are looking very content. Very restful at the moment. Look at the wind through their manes, it's just beautiful. And these lions, they're lying like two little carbon copies of each other, one in front and one behind. And I think they've chosen that spot because you can see they're lying on one of the two tracks of the road. It's probably probably a lot more comfortable than lying in the grass because there's lots of ticks in this grass at the moment. Look how that one lion's actually got fur growing out of his elbow. Such a dark maned lion. And he's just very curious about that vehicle starting its engine there, just keeping a beady eye on it. And I think he'll probably nod back off now. So do you see those bellies? They are slightly swollen, but I don't think that they have eaten anything big recently. They may have just still been in the process of digesting a meal from a couple of days back when they flopped down here to sleep. So maybe they'd be tempted if something walked past to have a look and see if it's a possibility for them to catch. But these lions, incredibly, I think the reason why they are lying so flat and are so tired is because last night they were seen far in the south of the reserve, probably about 15 or 20 kilometers away. And in the middle of the night, they've walked that distance to land up here, all in one single night. It's an incredible feat. No wonder they're exhausted. And what would possess them to have done that would probably be to find the pride of lions in this area. They probably maybe heard a roar or felt like they needed to go and patrol a different area of the territory. Maybe heard this pride of lions which frequents this area roaring, and they decided to walk all the way. It's amazing. And maybe we'll be lucky enough to see that pride of lions this morning. If they have come all the way to see the pride, then I'm sure that they're not far from them. But we're going to stick with these lions for sure, see what they get up to this morning. And we will send you now over to Ngala with Fred to see what they're up to. Alright, back with us then. Just sitting here on top of this hill enjoying the breeze, and you can actually see it rustling through their mane. Watch actually how their bellies rise and fall with their big deep breaths, just resting after a long night's journey. So we are now going to send you over to Trish and her wild dogs, and we'll stick with these lions.
It is amazing how calm things are here. But you can see there's 3 hyenas in the distance. They're trying to make a move and do something. But they're so unsure. So finally ID'd the dark hyena is Kikau. And that's really cool because we haven't seen Kikau. He's a male, immigrant male to the Djuma clan. We don't see him often. So it's really, really nice to see him. He's not in shot at the moment though. I am just stunned at the kind of peaceful air in the situation right now. Absolutely amazing. There's Kikau, they're the darker one of those two. Anyway, let's stick around, obviously, and see what happens here, but I'm going to send you over to Pinda.
Right, everyone, something amazing has just happened. One of the lionesses of the pride that's around this area has just joined these two lions, and you can see the little cubs running through the bushes there. These two male lions got a huge fright. They didn't even see her arrive, but look, they're about to come and join. How amazing is this? Oh my goodness. 4 tiny, brand new little cubs. Look how curious they are to see their father. They probably haven't... It could be one of the first times they're ever meeting these two lions, because they would have been in a den away from other lions for many, many months. They've only been walking around with their mother. She's only just introduced them to the pride. This could be an amazing, amazing moment. Look at Mum chasing them away. Please keep your distance. Because although, oh wow, very gently, but making them well aware that she doesn't want them too close. These are the fathers of these cubs. But she's still not taking any chances. Look at these little 4. Very, very playful. Not in the least bit worried about these males. Now they're more worried about the vehicle. Oh, this is a fantastic moment. Now we know why these two male lions have come to this area, because they obviously smelt signs of this female, maybe the rest of her pride, and now they've actually come to find them. And just like that, that meet and greet is over. I'm not sure why these lions are not interested in following this lioness. And I think it's got something to do with the fact that they know that she has got very, very young, small cubs. And they know that she's going to give them hell if they try any mating or that kind of thing with the lioness. She'll not be interested at all because she's got such young cubs. She's got her cub safety to think of, and she also isn't an estrus, so she's just not receptive to them at the moment. So they know where they stand with her, and I think what they've come here for is to try and find any other females that don't actually have cubs at the moment. And I'm not sure where those females are. Normally, the females would all sort of hang around together and move around as a single pride. But when this female had her cubs, she would have started spending more and more time alone. You see how his eyes are gazing down after her, watching her go, almost like, hate to see you go, but I'm gonna just leave you go, because it's not worth the trouble you're gonna cause me if I continue to follow you. That was amazing. Can't believe it. So, although these are the fathers of those little cubs, they haven't been seen in the area of this pride for a long, long time, probably about 2 or 3 weeks. But that doesn't mean that when they're in this area, they met up with the pride while they were here. They've been hanging around with another different pride, far in the south of the reserve. And so, even though they fathered these cubs, I think it's probably one of the first, if not the first time, that they've met them. But the reason why they didn't react aggressively towards the cubs was because they know that female lion well. So they know that they mated with her, and so implicitly they know that those cubs belong to them. If it was a strange female lion that came into this area that they saw with small cubs, they would have probably killed those cubs without even thinking about it, because they want to perpetuate their own genes. So if they saw cubs that weren't theirs, they would kill them and mate immediately with the female afterwards, so that their genes have a better chance of permeating throughout the population of lions. So a very interesting piece of lion dynamics at play here. But after all that excitement, looks like these two might just settle down again for a while longer. We're going to probably try and catch up with those cubs and the mom. I don't think these guys will move too far. But we're going to link you now back to Trish, see what she's up to at the moment.
Things are a little bit quieter here. The hyenas have moved quite some distance off, but they're playing a lot, so they keep running around. And at one point that irritated the wild dogs a little bit, not because they were running towards them, but because they were so playful and being a little bit irritating. But it wasn't terribly violent. I can still kind of see them playing through there. The dogs have settled down. I expect it in this weather because there's a lot of cloud cover. Thin cloud cover, so it's really overcast. It doesn't look rain clouds. Could be expecting rain later on today. I was thinking this is wild dog type of weather. But we say it's wild dog type of weather because they hunt a lot when there's weather like this. And today they seem like maybe they've eaten enough. But I hope they'll get up and get on the pursuit sometime during today. Especially this morning, so we can actually see it. Here's a few more vehicles joining the sighting, so let's soak it in. Soak it in before we have to make space for others. Julia, you say it's so cool to see these interactions. It is, and it's so important. It's such a the type of thing you really want to have first-hand knowledge of and have observed yourself. And like I said, so often the types of interactions we see are these aggravated, fast-paced interactions. And when we see that constantly, we think that that's the only type of interaction they'll have. We don't see this, wild dogs playing on one side and hyenas playing on the other. It's not something we see, and I'm so glad that we have seen it. It adds a whole new depth to what we know about both creatures. Swazi, he looked like he was about to cause some trouble and then decided against it. So Swazi is a sub-adult, and the way that the cubs at the den are now, they're very playful and interact with us a lot. That's how Swazi used to be too. I knew him from the time he was born, and he used to do the same things. In fact, he continues to behave that way, and now he's doing it to another vehicle. Maybe he'll come say hi to us. No, here he comes. He's by far the most curious about the dogs. It's so lovely that they're out in the open too. Really easy sighting. And if they are going to hunt, there's a little bit of open space, but I don't see any prey around. And there's a lot of impala up in quarantine, which is not that far away. You know what always amazes me is that this is just one road, right? Imagine we're on another road and you're just driving along there. You would not even, like a parallel road or something, you would not even, it would be not a single clue to tell you that there's this amazing interaction going on. That's why I think we're so fortunate when we come across sightings like this. So fortunate. Lisa, you'd like to know if it's possible that the hyenas are following around the wild dogs in case they hunt to get some of their prey. Absolutely, that's most definitely what they're doing. But that doesn't explain their calm behavior. So you'll find hyenas following wild dogs or other predators very, very often. And that is because they want to get in on the action and want to get some of that prey. We know that they're excellent scavengers, but equally excellent, if not better, hunters. But if you're going to get something for free, you might as well get something for free, right? So that's why hyenas will follow other carnivores. But in this instance, the question is, why are they behaving so relaxed, in such a relaxed fashion? I think it's very, very cool. Now, as soon as those wild dogs get up and get on the move, the hyenas most definitely will follow. I think that the behavior could be as a result of the proximity to the den. It's not terribly close, but if the wild dogs had to move a little bit more east, they would be in the same block as the den. And also it's just one of the mums here, Hart was here, all three others were males. And they're such intelligent creatures. Both of these animals are so intelligent. And I'm sure they have multiple strategies to deal with whatever's going on that we have no idea about. If I were a hyena, I'd have some of my troops stationed here to keep an eye on the dogs, and some of my troops stationed at the den to make sure that there's always enough warning. You know, when wild dogs were first properly described taxonomically, they were thought to be in the same group as hyenas, same family as hyenas. Wrongly so, obviously. They're more closely related to jackals in Africa and the dhole, or the bush dog from South America. Lara Moore, that's a really interesting question. You'd like to know what those tail movements could mean in terms of communication. The function of a tail, or primary function of the tail, is of course to swat flies and keep flies and other pests away from sensitive areas that are exposed. For us, we stand upright, so our sensitive areas are not very exposed, but for them, they're on four legs. So it is. So that's a primary use of the tail. And then the secondary use would be, like you said, some form of communication. I don't know if you noticed earlier when we just arrived and they were all surrounding Swazi and we were just taking in the scene. They all had their tails up. And they were wagging. They almost looked like ostrich feathers, or it was really luxurious Shakespearean feather pens. And it would be follow me signs, but it could also represent some sort of agitation. And picking a tail up requires effort. So usually something that requires effort implies that it is involved in some kind of signaling. Shame, look at his injury. Still a bit swollen and red, but I'm sure he'll heal up fine. Sorry, Lara Moore. So putting effort into something implies that there is a specific use for it. And picking up the tail would show excitement. You also see them picking up the tail when they're hunting, when there's a whole lot of interaction, when they're all squealing and squittering and making those wonderful sounds. You also see them pick their tails up. So the movement of the tail and the color of the tail could signal follow me signs, excitement, agitation. It's a way to communicate some sort of feeling. Not an emotional feeling, but rather these biological ones. Things are as a result of adrenaline and other hormonal spikes. Look at those large ears. Amazing. You can see them move one at a time. Just stunning. Well, everything's still here. All the components for action are still here. So we're gonna sit and wait for that moment.
When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at Wild Earth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed. Hello, Mama. Just checking us out, everybody. There's no aggression here. Very relaxed. A herd of elephants moving around your car like that is truly, truly magical.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
Africa is very special, and when you come down here, even when you're watching through our camera, the landscapes change from desert to bushveld to up in the Masai Mara where there's grassland. That means that the biodiversity changes as we move along Africa. And what I love most about connecting with you guys is the fact that I get to share these wonderful experiences with thousands of people.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
So very relaxed here. Each is waiting for the other to make a move. But the more they wait, the sleepier they get, I suspect. Their tails are so beautiful, bushy and white. Your tails too, hyena. It's nice to just watch them all and to take it in. You can hear the testicular shouting at them in the background. It's really, really peaceful. I can hear some green woodhoopers. I can hear a woodland kingfisher in the background. I just heard a sneeze. Peter, you'd like to know if wild dogs are matriarchal. They are not matriarchal. They have separate dominance hierarchies for males and females. And they have an alpha pair that does the majority of the breeding. Generally, it's the oldest male or female that is the head of those hierarchies, or on the top, but not necessarily. Well, I say that the male or the alpha male and female do the majority of the breeding, or they monopolize breeding. It's not exclusive to them. In fact, lots of evidence shows that some pups are actually the result of the beta male impregnating the alpha female. And if the beta pair produce cubs, or if another female produces cubs in a pack, although we often hear that that the alpha female will kill those, a lot of the time she may just adopt them. And they produce a lot of puppies. The average is about 10, but it can be anything between 16 and 20, which is just unbelievable. Can you imagine having that many pups? I mean, I bet you can't imagine having one puppy. But even if your dog had to have 17 puppies, that is amazing. Kirsty, you'd like to know if wild dogs are affected by the same diseases as domestic dogs? I don't know. Things like, diseases, I'm really not sure. Ailments like hip dysplasia, because those are ailments that happen as a result of putting lots of pressure on certain body parts, I'm sure that they would. But also remember that if our dogs were living in the wild, it's very unlikely that they would live to, 13 or 15 years old where they start to experience those ailments. Things like cancer, yep, unless they have specific genes that will work against cell replication or uncontrolled cell replication like elephants do. Unless they possess those genes, they're like any other creature susceptible to cancer. But remember that their biggest threat, or the wild dog's biggest threat, is habitat fragmentation. Is they move a lot. Remember, they're not territorial, but they have home ranges. So they're constantly moving, and they move quickly, and they take livestock. So they can be basically taking away livelihoods from lots of farmers. Less now, but a lot in the past. That was interesting. That as well as other smaller problems. Sorry, I'm just touching my cat there. Such as, well, I say smaller problems in the sense that it's not an immediate threat, but rather a threat that builds up over time. Things like global warming, having higher daytime temperatures, means that they'll be able to have fewer hours in which they hunt, and they're particularly affected by heat and can overheat easily. And there's also horrible things like bushmeat and poaching, traditional, remedies and stuff like that. Although I must say, wild dogs don't feature as prominently as, say, hyenas in African folklore. Stuck in bed, was that you? You wanted to know if they'd hunt together if an impala came around? Maybe unintentionally, but no, they would not coordinate themselves in any way. The wild dogs would do that amongst themselves. The hyenas might do it amongst themselves, and if it results in it looking like they're working together, then it's just chance. because they're not interested in sharing whatever it is that they find or that they kill. And if they have to work together, it implies that they have to share too. And also there's no need for them to work together. Wild dogs are excellent hunters. They don't need help. I'm going to sneeze, everybody. Please excuse me. Oh, maybe I'm not. Never mind. Speaking of sneezes, I said that I heard a sneeze earlier. It wasn't me. And wild dogs often communicate with sneezes as a sort of voting or democratic way to figure out if they want to move or they don't want to move. Somebody sneezes, there's more sneezes, it's a vote to move. Maybe there's one sneeze, nobody else sneezes. Look at that head down there approaching the hyena. Bit of a run. I think there's a bit of irritation going on, but it's still a stunning sighting. I have no idea how this ended up being this way. Can you imagine when they first arrived what it must have looked like, and then whether it settled down or... I don't know. We're going to find out, though. And we're going to send you over to Pinda in the meantime.
Alright everyone, welcome back to and Beyond Pinda, and we are spending some time with these male lions. We tried to find the rest of the pride that came past earlier, but they seem to have cut off into some thicker bush which we couldn't follow them into. But these male lions have just started to show some signs of life. The one male got up, he scent marked, and he is now on his way down the road in the same direction as the pride. So I expect the other male will follow soon. Doesn't look too ready to leave. And we're going to follow them. I'm going to stick with them. Just look at that view as well of that male lion striding down into the sunrise. Beautiful green grass on either side of the road, framing so perfectly. So we're gonna wait for this other male, who generally doesn't stray too far from his brother for very long when they're together like this. I'm sure he'll also follow suit in the next couple of minutes. Still shutting his eyes, trying to get the motivation to get up and go for a walk. So Glenda, you've asked how old these spectacular males are, and they truly are spectacular with their dark manes, their big lions. But have a look at this lion's face. See how many scars he's got? Oh, there's a big yawn. Beautiful, well, not beautiful, but a lot of little network of scars on his nose from fights with other males over the years, but not too heavily scarred. He's got a beautiful full black mane, and if you have a look at his hip bones and how well muscled he is, he's in the prime of his life. Probably just going on 6 or 7 years, I'd say. We don't know exactly how old they are. Or I don't know exactly how old they are. But definitely in the region of 6 or 7. They are fully grown male lions in their prime. They were actually introduced to Phinda. They weren't born here. They came from another reserve when they were already fully grown, so not too sure when they were born. But they've been the dominant males of the south of the reserve for quite some time, probably about 3 or 4 years now. And most of the litters that have, well, all of the litters that have been born in their time, or that time, have been fathered by them. Have a look how he gathers momentum down the hill and starts to nod his head. Suspect that he's going to scent mark on that tree. Look what he's doing. Yes, look at that. He's actually rubbing his face on the tree, giving it a good scratch, and even scraped his claws through it as well. But no scent marking. Maybe he had just an itch on his face and he needed to scratch. Look at the light on the beautiful water in the distance. That's False Bay, everyone. That's part of the Isimangaliso World Heritage Site. It's a famous estuary on the eastern coast of Africa. This male's walking straight towards that other vehicle. Probably thinking, why is this big green animal not moving for me? We're going to follow these lines, see where they end up. We're going to link you back to Trish, see what she's up to on her side.
I have a small interaction going on here. Still nothing too crazy. Look at this hyena's ears pulled back like that. Grimace. And it's over. Wow, there's even some sunshine. Oh, this is amazing. This morning has turned out just unbelievable, because when we got up it looked so overcast. There was rain predicted for the whole day, in fact from last night, and look at this, wild dogs and hyena together and some sunshine. Now we're talking about the diseases they could get, and there were two that I actually completely forgot about, and that was rabies. Actually 3 now that I think about it. Rabies can be a real problem for the population, and especially that question was particularly about what they could get from domestic animals, and that's rabies. Definitely, it's infectious. And especially if there's an outbreak, it can kill off entire packs. There's also distemper virus and anthrax. All 3 of those really worrying, because they result in outbreaks. It's not just one that's going to be so highly infectious that before you know it, there's a whole chunk of the population gone in that specific area. There's about 6,500 wild dogs in the world, but the largest subpopulation is about 250 dogs. So if you imagine you have an outbreak, you can kill an entire subpopulation. Oh. There's some movement now. Girl, you don't smell great. Have you been eating grass? Oh, you've been eating poop. Never mind. There is a lot of nutrients to be found in in the scat of wild animals. Don't try this at home, please. I'm definitely not advising you to take advantage of the nutrients. You don't have the same type of stomach acids that a hyena does. And you'll often find hyenas eating the excrement of other carnivores. Stuck in bed. You say it's epic. Why, thank you very much. I didn't do it myself. I just arrived at the sighting. But you wanted to know what the weight difference between these two guys are. It's actually quite substantial. So, a hyena, so we have 3 males here, and 1 of the females. So the female can be about 70 kgs. And heart, I think, is quite a large female. She's not very small at all. And the males are closer to about 60 kgs, whereas the wild dog's about half that size in terms of weight, about 20 to 30 kgs. So there is a big weight difference. Hyenas are stocky and thick, and wild dogs are thin and lean, and are built for speed and have numerous adaptations that allow them to move and course through the bush with high speed and agility. They can move really fast, up to 70 kilometers per hour. That is a lot. They also don't have a dew claw, so that digit the lack of that digit allows them to move quite quickly. But I share a lot of things with hyenas, strangely. That both are very intelligent creatures. They have lots of social bonds. The bonds of the wild dog are by far much, much stronger, especially when it comes to working together in coordination, almost second to none. And with the hyenas, it's a little bit different, but they're not always working together. They're part of a clan, but they are always asserting different dominance, or different ranks in the hierarchy. So they're always trying to either move up, or something happens and they move down. So it's so openly competitive that they're always working socially. So it's two types of intelligence that are brought about by being social animals, but still slightly different. Also, both of them have quite a lot of variation in their coats, or the type of coats they can have. They have quite a lot of genetic variation, these populations of hyenas and wild dogs. And both of them have the largest premolars of all carnivores, I think. I think wild dog has the second largest premolars, only second to a hyena in terms of body size to molar size. I don't see any hyenas any longer. Oh, spoke too soon. I'm very surprised that they haven't been hunting since we've been here. It's perfect weather. Now it's starting to warm up, so the opportunity is becoming just a little bit less and less. Still not very hot. Still quite a bit of cloud cover, but I expected that they would have hunted when it was, a degree or two cooler. Still mulling about, all of them. Well, let me send you over to Ngala, because they haven't had an opportunity to say good morning just yet.
Good morning and welcome to and beyond Ngala. We've managed to find two zebra. Looks like the one on the left is the stallion and the female at the back following him there. It's been quite an interesting morning for us. We've been driving far and wide looking for any signs of these lions. Looks like that pride has moved pretty far from where they were yesterday. But very happy to find these two zebra. I think they might be heading towards a very large watering hole that's here in the area to the west of the reserve. Right, well, my name is Fred, and behind the camera we've got Owen, and I've got high levels of excitement flowing in my veins this morning. Pretty much to expect the unexpected around every corner. But yeah, really just been enjoying these two zebras, and I saw that one stallion here on his rump on the right side. He actually has a bit of a scar, which is one of the things I really like to do whenever I see a group of zebras. I always look on them, because very often you'll find on the backside some scars from possibly a previous attack by a lion where they've managed to escape. And you can just see it's like a scratch mark, and you can imagine a lion probably jumping on their back, and with the zebras running off, the lions just falling off, and wasn't a successful kill. I'm just going to maybe go a little bit forward. Just because there's a bush behind in front of them. And there's a few impala here to the left as well, hiding in the bushes. It was quite interesting. Just before you joined us, I watched this stallion as he was walking towards us. He stepped into a little hole and almost completely fell forward, almost spraining an ankle. And I actually had this thought to share how important it is for them to make sure that doesn't happen, because they can very easily actually sprain an ankle. And you can just imagine if that becomes a proper injury and they're limping through here, and you've got predators or lions walking through an area like this, and they see a limping zebra, then it's pretty much game over. They'll hone in on that injured animal and 100% try and take it out. Lots of wagging tails this morning. You can just imagine all those biting flies are giving them a hard time as well. And that one on the right looks like he's got a red-billed oxpecker on his back. That oxpecker would be sitting there, and it pretty much uses its bill to scissor through the fur, and it's trying to get any of the tick larvae. Now, the tick larvae are tiny, tiny, tiny ticks that literally look like little grains of sand. And that's actually what that oxpecker is looking for. So I jumped into the mane of the zebra. And you can see how nice and straight and stiff that mane actually is standing. And that's one of the ways in which you can tell the condition of a zebra, because they're hindgut fermenters, which mean they've got one single stomach. Their stomach is always blown up and full of gas, and so for that reason you wouldn't be able to see any skeletal features on a zebra So the real way to actually tell if they are in good condition is with that mane. If they wouldn't be in good condition, and let's say you go into a severe drought, what actually will happen is that that mane would start flopping over because of the fat reserves that has actually completely been depleted. So obviously you can see with all the grass that we have here, there's more than enough food for these zebra, and they are really, really looking good. And I think for me, the favorite feature on the zebra are actually the stripes on the faces. For me, it's just the thing that stands out the most, really. So also what I'm thinking is happening with these two, this potentially could be a stallion that's slowly starting to build a harem for himself. Okay, KG is asking what species of zebra are these? So these are the Birchall zebra, or the plain zebra, another common name for them, which is the most common zebra that we find in this part of South Africa. A little bit further to the south of South Africa, we also get the mountain zebra, but they look a lot different. But maybe just one thing that I will point out, if you look carefully on these ones, you'll see that you've got the black and the white stripes, and then in between them you've got sort of a faded, very dull stripe, and that's called a shadow stripe, and that's what makes these zebra unique. That's what differentiates them from other zebra, is that they've got that shadow stripe, that little dull stripe in between the black and the white, where with mountain zebra, for instance, their ears will be a lot longer, and they've got a little dewlap. A dewlap is a flap of skin on their neck, essentially, which these ones don't have. And then further up in Africa, you'll get the Giraffe zebra, which actually got very thinner, much more thinner stripes. And there's the Hartmann zebra in the deserts of Namibia. But these ones are the plain zebra. And as I was explaining earlier, I think this stallion is starting to build up a harem, and actually quite an interesting process. So he's already got one female, and what he potentially would be doing is he'll go to different areas and he'll try and challenge other males, and then he'll take one of their females, sometimes even one of the younger females, and then he'll slowly but surely, one by one, add and grow his harem, and then on average it'll be a size of about 5 to 7 females for this male. In areas, especially here in Ngala and in Kruger, where you find lots of zebra together, it's not necessarily one herd, it's actually just a number of these smaller groups that have joined up together. And for the females, then, it's quite interesting. When you see them fighting, they have their own hierarchy within the herd. And so it'll pretty much just be ranked from first female, second female, third female, with the first one being incorporated will have the highest status within this group. All right, well, we're going to be leaving these zebras shortly and then continue on further with our search for the lions.
February is the month of love, and nature is no exception. Tristan and Trishala will be igniting the flame to discuss the bonds formed in the African wild. Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire on Sunday, the 28th of February. Wild Earth Explorers. It's in your nature.
Oh, my dear, I do find you most attractive when you're covered in bird lice. Oh, Charles, I love it when you peck at my head and clean the bird lice off me. Let me say hello to Barry here. Hello, Barry. I'm just going to examine you for some bird lice. Charles, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. Oh, all right. I shall look for bird lice on myself then.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
What makes Untitled Private Game Reserve so special is our massive array of habitats. And with that comes, of course, a beautiful diversity of landscapes, but also an incredible biodiversity in terms of plants, bird life and animal life, as well as, of course, our conservation success stories with cheetah, with rhinos, now with pangolins too.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
Look at this girl. Tucking in her legs so sweetly. She's just had a tough interaction with a couple of the dogs. They weren't enjoying the fact that she was taking advantage of their waste form of eating their scat, and they chased her off a couple times. It's interesting actually to watch the way that they both sit. They're both lying down very differently. You can see she's got her legs tucked in underneath her. Look at that. So she's feeling cooler than they are. She's trying to conserve her heat by keeping those thinner parts of the body, the thinner skin, underneath her and in an area that's nice and warm, so she's losing less heat. Whereas if we look up at them, the wild dogs all have their feet extended. They're not tucking at all, and we know that they're prone to overheating. So that's a good example of the differences that we can actually see when it comes to heat exchange and how much the heat actually affects them. Look at them, they're quite happy in the slightly chilly weather to be totally exposing their thinner skin. Gabby, you'd like to know, how do I identify the wild dog pack? I must say I'm not great with identifying the packs, especially when we haven't seen them for a while and then we see them again. But there's also several people online who are really good at identifying the packs. And generally we know from when there is a sighting, then the guides will talk to each other and then we'll try and figure out what pack it is. But we're looking for certain distinguishing features and pack numbers. So Pungwe pack, the last time I had been with them, they had 11 pups and then 7 adults. And then the number of pups got reduced. But the best way is to have several sightings of them, so then you get used to the numbers. But also remember that numbers change quite a bit. And also certain features, like one of the dogs in this pack is collared. It's not the alpha male, but it's one of the sub-adult males that are collared. So that's another thing to look out for. And then there may be some identifying features in terms of the actual coat. So each one of the dogs have a very unique coat pattern. No two dogs would ever have the same one. It's completely unique. And occasionally you'll see something that it's like clouds, you know, you look up in the sky and you suddenly see a formation in the clouds. It's similar to that. You suddenly see, oh, this dog has got full white socks on all their feet. Or something like that. Or maybe they've got a bit of a lip missing, like one of the females do, to show the canine. Or rip in the ear or something like that. But I do find it more difficult than, say, IDing leopards. But there are a lot of resources online to help you, especially if you follow some of the wild dog pack information on Facebook and things like that. Anyway, let's send you over to Ingala.
We have found something really interesting this morning at the waterhole. There's an old buffalo bull that just came to lie down on the edge, and this hippo must have been just so curious. He slowly started sneaking up, and he came right up to him, and I think he tried to sniff him. He wasn't too sure what to do, and obviously the buffalo jumped up and got a bit of a spook, so I'm quite curious to see how this is going to play out. Now the hippo looks like he's lost interest, gone further back into the water. There are a couple of hippo in this waterhole. There's one, two, I think I can count at least 6 of them here, so that's quite nice to see. One jumping there as well. That is quite nice. I'm trying to have a look. I think the dominant bull hippo is that one way at the back. And I'm judging that just by the size of his head. So normally the bull would have a much larger head. And also you'll see specific behavior when he stands up and goes to the edge and he starts showing his dominance. He'll actually start defecating and he'll shake his tail the whole time. So he'll spray his dung in the water and even around the bushes at the edge of the watering hole. And that's how he essentially says, I'm the dominant male of this watering hole. And he might be there close to potentially a female that's close to him there. Just heard some of those hippos calling now. And I see there's a few other hippos that have actually also gone closer to that buffalo. So I think there's a little bit of curiosity for them there. But also hippos generally don't like other animals coming too close to the water for them. It's almost like they feel very protective of the water. And that's also for them a place of importance because that's where they feel safe. Especially when hippos are out of the water and they're moving around, either feeding or they're moving from one waterhole to another one. But if they encounter any danger, especially humans as well, you never ever want to stand between a hippo and the water because that's where it feels safe, and it probably most definitely will either run at you trying to get rid of the threat, and it'll probably run over you to get back to the water. So that's where they feel safe, and they don't want anything else really to intrude there. But I saw one very interesting thing here. It was at about end of last year. We just came here and a crocodile had just caught an impala. We didn't see the actual catch, but he was sitting here with the impala in his mouth. And one of these hippos, same thing, came closer and closer and closer. And he actually tried to nudge the crocodile he chased the crocodile off the impala carcass, and then the hippo started actually chewing on the impala. Now, he wasn't trying to eat it, but that was really, really interesting behavior. You know, he lifted it up with his mouth and dropped it down. Some other hippos came closer, and then that hippo would chase it away. So, once again, I think it was just behavior of it being curious, and by biting it, it's sort of trying to feel what it is and trying to make sense of it, really. But that looked quite bizarre, because if you didn't know what was happening, you probably could think that it was actually eating it. But after a while, it lost interest, let go of the impala, moved back into the water, and then the crocodiles came back and they started to eat the impala. And also what we have here is, looks like a tawny eagle on the top of that tree there. He's busy grooming himself, ruffling some feathers. Quite a nice view of it as well. And that's sort of the classic coloration that you would expect a tawny eagle to be. Oh, that's nice. I think where this eagle has been waiting, I mean, it's been a lovely cool morning on Ngala, with overcast weather. And so generally what birds like this, they wait for the sun to come out, and then they literally will sit with their backs towards the rising sun, and that's how they heat up and get themselves ready for the day. But now with all these clouds, we've had a very late start, and it was not as wet as it was yesterday morning, but there's very high humidity in the air at the moment, so it must have been a damp evening, and also we had a little bit of rain last night, so I think most of the birds and the eagles are actually still wet from last night, and so that's why they've not been flying too much. And I think this one is just ruffling his feather, getting a bit of a breeze, and waiting for that sun to come through. All right, but I think that we're going to be sitting here for a little bit to see what unfolds at this watering hole, and then we'll be sending you off to Pinda. Welcome back to Beyond Pinda, and welcome to this beautiful sighting of a rhino cow and her calf. They had just paused to look at us, and they were actually moving towards the road. Now I think they're going to continue towards the road. We're going to try and follow them through these bushes. They don't look too concerned with us. They're just carrying on their way. I'm going to move the vehicle forward slightly. See if they pop.
Hi, I'm Sue. I'm from South Africa, and I'm the incredibly lucky winner of the Tswalu competition. Tswalu has so much to offer, but we're really looking forward to the game viewing options, as going out with a personal guide who has so much knowledge will just be exceptional. Motsi Lodge looks absolutely amazing, and we're so looking forward to spending time there. It really is out of this world. I only registered as an explorer towards the end of January, so when the email arrived stating that I was the winner, it took me totally by surprise. I'd just like to thank Wild Earth and Tswalu for this most incredible prize. It really is a dream come true.
Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
We stopped as the dusk was settling, and there was a zebra mare underneath the bush. She was lying down. We didn't really know what was happening, and then we saw it.
Everybody, there's a zebra giving birth there. There's a zebra giving birth. This is a zebra giving birth. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, you clever mare. Well done. It's born, everyone. It's born and it's alive and it looks fine.
This was, of course, an unusual sighting. Normally, herbivores like impala and wildebeest and zebra will give birth during the middle of the day. This is when their predators like lions and hyenas are fast asleep. But as this little foal took its first steps, the dying embers of the day had just gone over the western horizon, and it was just the time that the hyenas and lions were starting to get active and go out foraging. This is why we didn't light up the sighting, of course. It may have compromised the zebra's eyes and at the same time attracted those hyenas and lions to the activity.
Hi, my name is Tristan Dix, and I am a guide here at Djuma Private Game Reserve for Wild Earth. We love connecting you to the African bush, and we always look forward to all of your questions. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you'll need to register on the website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit a question below the live feed. Catch up with me on Wild Earth.
Just the back end of those rhinos still moving through the bushes, and do you see we caught up with them in this open area, but they are moving, so I think they might be looking to move into an area where there's more suitable grass for them to graze on. You look at this grass, look how long and tufted it is with the seeds on the top. We call these seeds inflorescences, and rhino can eat this grass, they can feed, but they prefer to eat shorter grass that's clipped a little bit lower to the ground. That's more tasty for them. So I think we're going to continue in the direction they're headed and see if we can film them for you. But we are going to send you across now back to Trish.
Good luck, Ross. I hope that he is going to be able to find those rhinos. It's so wonderful to spend time with rhinos. Now, I've just come round to go to the other side of the wild dogs. Let's see what view we can get from here. I've also been seeing some baboons around, so I'm getting a bit greedy and thinking about the possibility of all this interspecies interesting interactions we can see. Let's just very quickly have a look at this crested flank of Franklin with its little chick. It's not terribly little, but it's still very, very cute. The crest is really prominent on the little ones, I find. They're going straight towards the wild dogs. Alright, let's get going. Yeah, turn into the block there, guys. Cute. I see an ear. There they are. Just wait for this Franklin family to decide what they want to do because they don't want to push them into the wild dogs. Go on. Turn into the block. You can do it. You don't want to go straight. No. Okay, fine, you want to go straight, it's fine. You'll see the dogs in the distance there. Okay. Franklin family have moved. So these dogs are, like I said, quite close to the hyena den. They're on the junction of Philemon's Cut Line and Shibama Road. I'm just gonna push through so we can get a wider view. Hi, Oliver. There we go, that's a nice view. You'd like to know if wild dogs are nocturnal hunters, or do they hunt in the day? They're crepuscular hunters. They hunt in the coolest hours of the day. And that usually includes early morning and in the evenings. But during the day, they don't hunt very much because it gets quite warm, especially now. It gets proper hot, and unless we've got cloud cover like we do now, then the possibility of them hunting goes up. But the heat of the day is still a problem for them. It has picked up a couple degrees. It's just the wind that's a little bit chilly at the moment. So I think that they must have hunted very early this morning. And had already eaten. Will those baboons come this way? Who knows? That's the exciting thing about being out here. I mean, apart from, grasses and everything else are also equally exciting, but this kind of feeling that what could come next, what could happen next. We know there's baboons around. I feel leopardy, but I'll always feel leopardy. This is not a reliable feeling. So much possibility and excitement. Even if it is just in our heads and there's no leopard nearby or anything like that, it doesn't matter. You can still build up that excitement. This wild dog is looking very, very intently on something. But I've just come from that direction. I didn't see anything, unless it's looking at the Franklin family. Yeah, that high-pitched sound. The whine. Yeah, these guys are knocked out now. So now we have a choice, and I'll leave it up to you. A duiker kill was found in a tree not too far from here. So what do you think? Use that hashtag WildEarth. You can use our question and comment box on our website. You can use @AFC on the YouTube chat stream. What do you think? Should we go investigate the duiker kill? Should we stay here? We can even do both if you like, and go investigate the kill, and then come back here. But you let me know, because it's your live safari, guys. Especially when there's a number of things going on, I like for you to tell me what it is you want to see. I'm going to have to make final control count all of your comments now. They said it's coming in quickly. Alrighty, alright. Majority says go to the kill, so let's do that. I'm just going to have to be on the radio before I leave here, so we'll spend this last segment with them for now. And then once you're at one of the other locations, I'll get on the radio, tell them I'm leaving the dogs and going to see the kill. And then we'll investigate. Now that kill is on Triple M, so it's just straight west of where we are now. And it's a straight road to get there. Oh, it's a straight and then to the south, to the north. So it shouldn't take us too long. And given it's in that direction, it could be Shidulu, it could be Kara. Who knows? But we're going to go find out. But, you know, we'll always come back here if there's nothing happening on that side. So let me send you over to Fred, who's just bumbling along, while I try to investigate what's going on at that carcass.
Welcome back to And Beyond Ngala. We've just come across a small group of elephant. Just going to try and position us. Just on, yeah, looks like a little young one. Maybe over that. How's that? Oh, you got to be there. Let me just see. Like that one is also looking for something to feed on the ground. Look at that. So also you might be seeing a smudge on the screen. It seems to be on the inside of the lens. We'll have a look at it at the end of our safari. But we still want to be showing you everything that we can here on And Beyond Ngala in the meantime. But look how delicately he uses that little trunk. So just going a little bit further back. Just want to give that elephant enough space so that it feels comfortable. I actually think, yeah, I can feel a bit of a breeze blowing. I'm pretty sure if our scent blows towards him, you might see him raise up his trunk and just to smell us. Get that. It actually looks like his front feet are wet as well. Could be from walking through the wet vegetation, or there might have been a little puddle it was walking through. Gonna go a little bit back again. Fanning his ears. I see these young elephant bulls are extremely brave when they're young like that. They feel they can take on anything. Might even give a little trumpet every now and then. Especially when they're little calves. They just like to chase stuff. I've seen them chasing guinea fowl, wildebeest. They'll chase anything as long as mum's close by. I just want to see. Okay, looks like he's gone off further to the right. Yeah, I can just see him through the bushes there. We'll try and get another view. So you can't believe how an animal like that can disappear in and amongst the bushes. I just saw two of them. So I think this might be the back end of a herd. I'm going to try. Yeah, no, he looks like he's gone further in there. You can just see the backside of one's ear. Also, one thing that's just crossed my mind is with this lovely cool weather that we're having, it's actually perfect for most animals to be moving around, especially also for elephant. Sometimes here in the summer months, around 8 o'clock in the morning, it can sometimes be so hot that the elephants will stop moving and they stand under the shade of the trees. I've actually seen this before. So with weather like this, it's actually perfect. And I think that's the same thing that these lions have been actually doing. They've moved and they've crossed the river, they've gone further to the south, and they've moved far from where they were yesterday. And I think it's because of them taking advantage of this cool weather. Probably the same way these elephants are. Looks like these two elephants have now stopped moving. I think also they've actually stopped feeding for now, and they're actually listening. I think they obviously hearing the vehicle moving and now maybe us speaking. It's almost as if they're just trying to gather their thoughts of where they are, maybe listening where other elephants would be, keeping an ear on us to see what our movements are. But there's a good distance between us, so they seem to be relaxed. Oh, look at this. That one putting his head on the other one. Amelie's asking if I have any scary elephant encounters to share. No, unfortunately I do not. I've been trying to avoid those as much as I can. Generally, when I'm out on, doing a drive, I just try and give elephants enough space so that they feel comfortable and then I can feel comfortable. I've had it once before where there was elephants from far away that were a little bit overprotective of the younger ones, and they started trumpeting and sort of headed towards the vehicle, and then we just drove away. So I think if we were to stay there, it would have been a bit of a hairy situation. It's definitely good advice to rather just put distance between yourself and them instead of having to stand there and stand your ground and shout them down, because that'll just disturb them. And if standing there and shouting them down doesn't work, they can very easily flip your vehicle, which of course we don't want to do. So best thing, give them space, they can calm down, they don't feel threatened by us, and then we can just enjoy watching natural behavior, which is ideally what we want to see. Let me go back a bit. I'm just going to try and get another view for you. They're good? Okay. Okay, sorry, there's another bush in the way. Should we go a bit back, Odie? Okay, we're still trying to get a view there. So it's amazing how the magic ingredient when you're out on safari like this is timing. Because if we drove past here and they weren't moving, you could very easily just think it was a rock or a bolo or something here. Because they can so easily disappear in between the bushes. So I can't really see great from where I am, but it looks like they're standing facing each other. So there's a bit of interaction. Actually amazing social interaction that they have throughout their lives. Look at that, how busy nudging and playing with each other. It potentially could be these are two young males. Jerome's asking if elephants prefer the rainy weather. Oh, that'll be interesting. I actually don't know. It would be nice to actually ask them to figure it out. But looking at their behavior, I would definitely say that they don't mind the rainy weather. And most likely because of the coolness of it, I would say they probably do prefer it more. Because when it really starts getting hot, I think it just puts any animal physically under a lot of stress. You know, you've got all this heat to deal with. You've got to now work to cool yourself down. So I think in that sense, they probably would prefer it if they cognitively make the decision that it's better when it's cooler than versus sunny days. That I don't know. But looking at their behavior and just judging for myself, you know, cooler days out here and overcast weather like this and even soft little rain is really, really nice. Like I said, I've even seen elephants moving in pretty hard rain. It just doesn't really seem to bother them that much. Okay, looks like they have moved further into the bush. I think we're going to continue with our drive and see what else we can find. But I also think, just back to the rain with the elephants, I mean, they've got such a thick skin that it really doesn't, I think, bother them at all. I think the only thing where I have seen elephants also be a bit uncomfortable is, once again, if it was very, very windy weather. Usually I actually saw this on Pinda a few times, where it just seemed like when it's windy weather, the elephants don't prefer to be out in the open. They'll leave the open areas and the floodplains and the marshlands, and they'll go into the woodlands or into the forest. And I don't know if it's because of the sound of it, howling and rushing over their ears. This is every time I've had a windy afternoon, the elephants are all trumpeting and just running to get to a place where they can feel a bit more secure. So I'd say the biggest thing for them is wind versus rain, at least from what I've seen. Okay, Ron is asking, when is the elephant breeding season? So elephants don't have a specific breeding season. They can breed any time throughout the year. That's pretty much why throughout the year, if you find a herd of elephants, you can find different ages of calves within a herd of elephants. And obviously with a very long gestation period of almost 2 years, 22 months, that's an exceptionally long time. That overlap doesn't really synchronize with any particular time of a year, and so it's essentially whenever a female elephant is mature, she can, once she goes into estrus, elephant bulls will pick up on that, and whenever they mature, they can start having calves. And then they'll have calves, if I'm correct about it, a 4-year interval after that. And I think the youngest the elephant cow can start to become sexually mature is around between 8 to 10 years, so it's fairly early. And that's one of the reasons why when that occurs and the big bulls join up with the herds, it actually stresses the females out a lot. And that's sometimes you'll find, because you can imagine if a big elephant bull of 45 years plus, which is 5 to 6 tons, tries to mount a young elephant, like an elephant cow like that, it can actually, seriously injure them, might even potentially break their back. So what you'll find sometimes is the older elephant cows will sort of try and keep these bigger elephants away, because that first mating experience can be quite traumatic for a young elephant. Want to stop here quickly and grab something for you. Okay. Can you see from here? Ready? So this is one of the grasses that we get in this area. It's called guinea grass.
Panica maximum, and this is one of the elephant's favorite food. So often when we find on the road, you'll find little clumps of grasses actually lying on there, on the road. And so what these elephants will be doing when they move through here is they'll grab it like this, and they put this section where the seeds are, they'll put that in their mouth, and then they'll bite it off, and then the rest of this, they'll just drop on the ground. And so I'll keep an eye out for that. If I see any of these little lumps of grasses on the road, that's what I'll be referring to. And the reason they do that specifically is because that's the most nutritious part of the grass. Top part's got the seeds. Ooh, Leslie's asking a great question. Have I ever seen an elephant giving birth? Short answer is no. Not, live on a safari or even with guests. I've only seen footage of it, but apparently it is quite an amazing thing to experience. Have I ever seen an elephant which we believe was born at least a day or two before? It was at least either that day or the day before, because that elephant was still pink in his ears almost at the back, and he was very, very wobbly. You could see this was a tiny, tiny, tiny elephant. So that was quite special to see. Have I ever seen elephants mating, which apparently is something that's not that common. And it was funny enough, it was a cool day like this. It was some rainy weather, and it was quite an interesting sight. You had this small herd of elephants come together. Big elephant bull came, and when this was happening and the bull mounted the female, all the other elephants sort of almost stood around them, grouped together. It was a really interesting thing to see, really. And I remember, because that was my first year of guiding at Pinda, and I came back from drive and I was telling it to my colleagues, and one of the guides there who was there for a number of years, he's like, "What? You saw that?" That's something that you don't often really see. Well, our plan still is to continue with our drive and head further south to the reserve and see what else we can find.
February is the month of love, and nature is no exception. Tristan and Trishala will be igniting the flame to discuss the bonds formed in the African wild. Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire on Sunday, the 28th of February. Wild Earth Explorers. It's in your nature.
Converging game path will invariably lead you to a water source, but treat all water as suspect. One of my favorite ways of purifying water is to filter out the particulates. And by just filtering it through your sock, you can clear out most of those. You can put water into a snail shell and you can boil it over a fire or using a chemical like chlorine or colloidal silver.
I'm Nikki here at Ambion Ngala in South Africa. I love getting questions from viewers about all the small things within the environment and how it all is integrated with one another. If you want to ask me any questions, please simply register with the Wild Earth website, head across to the Live Safari page and then post your questions there. I'm looking forward to chatting to you on my next Wild Earth drive.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and I come to you live every day here from Tswalu Kalahari in South Africa. My favorite bird has to be the sociable weaver. The enormous nest that they create, their survival tactics to inhabit these harsh and unforgiving environments, and as well as their complex social arrangements, is truly remarkable. And the interconnectedness with the ecosystem shows us that we are too.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
So we've managed to find this kill, but all that's left of it, it seems, are some stomach contents that are hanging from the fork in the silver cluster leaf. As for the culprit, can't see them. It's quite dense at the base of this tree, so the leopard could be at the bottom of the tree. So how about we have a look around together? I'm sure that when it was found, there must have been an actual carcass in there, not just stomach contents. So you know that leopards will get rid of the stomach contents. They don't really eat it, although sometimes you'll find them clean out the rumen if they're really hungry, and eat the skin. I think this is probably for Shidulu. You're seeing in this area. It's so dense down here. Let's get onto this side. Don't see a thing. And she wouldn't come back for the stomach contents. Either she's eaten her kill very quickly, or she's moved it. There's also a lot of impala nearby, and we're not hearing anything. And we didn't see any tracks either, so it's likely that she moved further west. I often find Shidulu in trees. I mean, if she's not on a patrol, it's very likely she's in a tree when she's resting. I've always found that she prefers that than to rest on the ground. And leopards tend to prefer marulas than silver cluster leaves or combretums. They tend to be bigger and more robust and have nice large branches. And there's a couple big marulas around, so let's have a look. See if she's moved. Also, if she isn't lying up in this bush or in the bushy bits, this tall grass, she would lift her head up or something if she hears a vehicle coming. Ooh, this is proper bushy. Okay, firstly, there's a nice big marula behind us, so let's have a look here. Nothing. Some of you are noticing that my dearest Wendy is quite a squeaky girl. She is. In fact, this is her less squeaky. You should see when she's really squeaky. She sounds a little like a circus, but I love her. Anyway, you were asking whether animals ever react to the squeakiness of, the clutch and just general squeakiness. I mean, she goes through a lot. But they don't. They really don't. They're so used to the sound that they don't react at all. In fact, it's weird. They actually react with more shock or, a sudden lift of the head when electric vehicles come through. Because the animals here have gotten so used to the sound of vehicles, and at the sound of a vehicle means that whatever's coming is not going to harm them. There's a false marula here, also a good candidate. So when the electric vehicles come through, or sometimes if I roll, especially if we're going downhill, because the sound of the vehicle is intense. So if I'm rolling, then I get to hear better. But you find that when the animals don't have the opportunity to hear that engine and then suddenly see you, they get a bit of a fright. Which seems sort of counterintuitive because this is an unnatural sound in the environment. But in fact, because they've grown up with it, they're very used to it. I mean, having electric game drive vehicles is a positive thing in a whole lot of ways. I mean, it's greener, it's quieter, but the animals need to get used to that, to the fact that there's rolling sound and then the appearance of the vehicle. All right, well, I'm going to do a couple rounds again, up and down here. Hopefully she'll appear, and I'm going to send you over to Fred with some elephants.
Right, we've managed to come across another group of elephants, and we were driving through all these quarry thickets and then literally just stumbled across them, and they've just moved a little bit further off the road. I think they maybe got a bit of a fright because we didn't see them coming, and moved about 5 meters in, and now they've settled down. You can see them starting to feed again, and generally that's a good sign. Feeding elephants are relaxed elephants. This one on the right is the mother, and you can see, I don't know if you can see the little trunk of her calf. There's a tiny little calf just to the left of her. And you can see he's using his trunk to break some leaves. So it's obviously that he started now to learn how to use the trunk properly, but also to start feeding on some plant material. But that little one would still be in a weaning process where, they still drink milk and then start eating plants, more plants, less milk, and that can go on for a few years. And he's just moving off. I might go a little bit forward. Just gonna go see, there's another elephant here on the left, another young one. Not gonna have it. Give him a little bit of space. Looks like another young male. I think he's crossing the road to join the other ones. But I'm not going to go forward just yet, because he's right behind that bush. Maybe a while we'll give them time just to move off a little bit. I want to show you something interesting. Remember I spoke about the grass a little bit earlier on, and I managed to pick something up on the road that actually illustrates exactly what I was talking about. You got that, Adam? So from here, this is, you can see an elephant obviously pulled this bush out of grasses. This side here is actually where the roots are, and this top part here you can see is where the seeds were, as I showed you earlier. And so all of that obviously was, bitten off, and the rest was just dropped like that on the road. And you see little piles of this sometimes going on. Obviously, also this has changed colour, so it was a few days ago. Some greenery still there. But that's signs of an elephant feeding. And quite amazing to think that was in the mouth of an elephant. All right. Just want to see. Looks like they've moved a little bit further in. Slowly going to go a bit forward. Oh yeah, no, it looks like they've moved in. You can just see some backsides going through the bushes. So maybe something interesting to note with that youngster, as I was talking about them drinking milk, is there doesn't seem to be a lot of consensus about when, there they are, about when they actually stop drinking milk. You know, some references will say, you know, they'll drink up to 4 years, some say 6 years, some even say up to 10, but I don't know if 10 is as accurate. But the oldest I've physically seen an elephant calf still drinking from its mother was one that was about, I think it was close to 4 years. Yes, Roybok, I agree 100%. The vegetation is really amazing at the moment, and it's lush and green, and there's such diversity of species here, different grasses, different trees, and all of this has just been a response to the rain that we've had. You know, in this area, water is life, and we've been really just so lucky with the rain that we've had, because everything you see around us here has just responded because of that. I'm going to go a little bit forward again, just to see if I can't get one more view. Big one, eh? Also, I'm trying to think, you know, having just seen these three elephants in the direction that they're moving, possibly it could be that they're the backside of the herd and that the others have already crossed. I think just before we stopped, I saw it looked like it might have been a fork-tailed drongo flying above them. And often you'll find these drongos staying close to them. All right, lioness lovers asking, do elephants ever sleep? Yes, they do, but not a lot. I think one of the reasons is if, you know, when you watch their behavior and they're constantly feeding through the day, they don't really waste a lot of energy in moving around. It's not like they're running. They've got a very relaxed life, pretty much, you know, walking and just feeding. And then they'll go for a short sleep break. Generally, it's in the warmest part of the day, and especially those little young ones. You'll see, you know, a few times I've seen little calves lying on their sides next to the mothers, and I think they also get tired a lot quicker. And then even up until when they get to their teen years, they'll be lying on their sides. It's only really when they're fully grown, especially the big older bulls, that tend to struggle a bit more when they want to lie down to sleep. So older elephants will often, you'll see them either leaning on a big termite mound or next to a big tree. And then for the rest of the afternoon, after the heat of the day, they'll continue feeding right into the night, and then possibly sleep for about, I think some research has shown that it's about 2 hours of sleep close to midnight, you know, that time, and then they'll wake up again, they'll move again right through the night, moving, slowly feeding as they go right into the next day. Okay, but I think they've moved on. Well, don't know if we'll be able to get another view, but we're slowly going to continue going forward just to have a look. Looks like they have moved further in. In the meantime, we're going to be sending you to Trish.
So you saw the stomach contents. I was about to say the elephant contents. And I haven't seen anything and no tracks going out. Now that's on Arathusa side, so we can't go in there. Well, we poked our nose in, but you can't drive in there. So we're gonna hope that she pops out some other time, hopefully into Djuma this afternoon. So I've seen another vehicle come past, and they said that the entire Duiker was up there. So she's obviously between the time of them seeing her and or seeing the kill and seeing a leopard, the kill was pulled down. And a leopard will only pull a kill down if it wants to move it. It doesn't just do it for fun. So I think our leopard luck, for now, is not looking tip-top. That's okay, because I'm going to go back around towards where the wild dogs were. And enjoy ourselves there. It's just actually a little further away than I thought. So it'll take us a good couple minutes to get there. And what I'm hoping is that along the way we'll find a leopard. Dizzy, you'd like to know if predators would eat gangrenous meat. I love the wording of that question. Rancid, necrosis, basically blackened meat or gangrenized meat. They will, but it may not sit very well. I've seen leopards eat some really, really horrible black, greeny, bluey meat, but it doesn't sit very well. I've seen Tlalamba do it before, and then she threw up a lot. I've seen Hosanna do it. I wasn't there for his, but oh, was I there for him throwing up? I've seen a lot of leopards throw up. But you're more likely to find hyenas eating that kind of meat because of their strong stomach acids that can kill any bacteria. So the main problem with off meat is that it harbors bacteria, and then that can cause infection and other issues. But with strong stomach acids, you can combat that. Now, when I say strong stomach acids, I mean like a pH of 1 or 2, where our stomach acids is something between 2 and 3. But that one step to make it a little bit extra acidic is actually a big jump, because it's right at the end of the scale. So the difference between a pH of 1 and a pH of 3 is quite big. There's lots of impala around, and they're not fussed about too much, which is great for them, but not too grand for our search. Can you hear how quiet it is? Somehow it feels too quiet. At least it's very, very peaceful. Well, let's keep on moving, because we've only got about under 30 minutes of show to go. Hello and good morning, Jackson. You'd like to know if impalas are grazers or browsers. They're mixed feeders, which is great. It's a great survival strategy. Being omnivorous, being a mixed feeder, is great, because if something, some resource becomes limited or something else becomes abundant, you can capitalize or monopolize those resources. It's the same with elephants. There's not much grass, we go for leaves. Not much leaves, go for grass. Or we go for fruits, or we go for bark. Having a varied diet is very, very important. Guinea fowl are omnivorous. And it's also really good for their survival, because when one thing is low, or there's a surplus of another, your survival is not compromised, because you can easily switch between. So these guys are the same. They're mixed feeders, so they'll sometimes eat grass, sometimes eat leaves, and move between them as they like. All right, let's try and get a move on. I was really hoping that we would find the leopard. Oh, well, thank you very much, Impala. They're beautiful antelope, aren't they? Numerous and common, but beautiful. Just gonna pick up some speed. It's always nice when it feels like there's so much happening that you get excited to get something done before the end of the show. Oh no, there's only 30 minutes left. Charles, you wanted to know if we get felt fires on Djuma. We haven't had one in a long time. So you might hear some of the language we use, such as the fire break. There's certain areas, especially along the boundary, or where we share boundaries, where the grass is very, very short. And that's called a fire break, and it's also just one in from the actual boundary. And that's so that if a fire comes from this side, it can't go past that fire break. There's not enough fuel. So the concern for the coming time when we have a fire warning or a high probability of fires, which is generally in that July-August time, so the bush is dry and the wind starts to pick up in August. There's a lot of moisture at the moment, so we don't have to be too concerned that moisture is likely to last. But the thing is that grasses are going to die, because that's their life cycle, right? They go through periods. So all this grass, there's so much grass that it's going to become dry and it's going to die. And that provides a lot of fuel for fires. So that's something that we have to keep in mind. Because I haven't seen this abundance of grass on Djuma. I've seen it in little patches, but not like this all over. But hopefully the water table will be high enough for there not to be, let's just pull off here while this vehicle goes past, for there not to be too much of a problem. And then also, grasses, I'll just turn over to this side. Also, grasses provide the fuel, like I said, but they grow and stimulate their growth by being constantly trimmed down by herbivores. And if there's so much grass that's not happening, the grass ends up falling on top of each other, suffocating itself, and then dying, and then creating even more fuel. So, a whole lot of things to think about during our fire season, but an interesting topic. Anyway, let me send you over to Fred.
Right, so we've now officially crossed into the southern part of Ngala, and I actually just had a quick stop. Just wanted to show you this view. It's one of the few places we actually can see very, very far, and also because of the soils, the landscape here starts to change. Mainly knobthorn trees and then these open sort of grassland areas. Actually just, I think I saw, Owen, can you see that?
Sorry about that, guys. I'm sure Fred and Ngala will be back in no time. As for us, I was actually really glad. We have 20 minutes of show left. I hope we'll make it back to the Wild Oaks, but if we don't, that's okay too. We can spend some time together bumbling along. I am hoping desperately that we'll get to see Tingana at some point. Hello, Impala. I guess your name kind of rhymes with Tingana. And Trishala. So, I love seeing Tingana, firstly, and I always feel that when I have a stint, I come back after a while, I usually get to see him. And he's an excellent carnivore, but here is another. Hello, dearest. The thing is, we haven't been seeing any male leopard tracks around too often. There's some in the south, but it's most likely for Mulwati. And you know, Tingana has a very distinctive track. It's easy to see with that one claw that is constantly out. But we can hope. 2 more days left. Gosh, I love dwarf mongoose. Yeah, you make use of that rock. You step on that rock. Oh, some of these guys are small. This is a really nice, relaxed group. I see 2 quite small ones. Oh wow, this is like the most numerous dwarf mongoose sighting I've had in a long time. Everyone's so relaxed and out on the road. Check how tiny that one is. That is cute. It's such an enjoyable thing to see how youngsters of any kind at all, just have this like, almost bravery, because they're so curious. They don't worry about anything. They just think, okay, well, I'm gonna go have a look at what that big hunk of chunk is. Big metal piece, what are you? MK, you would like an itinerary of what the mongooses do during the day? They forage. Dieterich cuckoo. They forage. They just go
looking for food all day long. Their hours are pretty much between 8 to 10 a.m. to about 6 p.m. depending on the weather. So they need to come out when it's nice and warm, and if it's not nice and warm, they'll be sticking inside the mounds that they inhabit. But even like this, even though it's overcast and not terribly sunny, they will still come out. I just want to wait a little bit and see if they'll pop out again. They're always good like that. You can do it. Jenny, you'd like to know how many are born in a litter? It's usually about 4 to 6. 4 to 6 little pups. And it's quite a short gestation period, about like 50 days or so. 50 to 60 days. And for the first 2 or 3 weeks, they kind of stay in the mound. And then after they'll start accompanying the adults out and about. And it takes them, the youngsters, 2 or 3 years to become independent and sexually mature. I think they're gone. Let's move on. By around 10 weeks, they're pretty much constantly out, but out with the rest of the group. But that 3 weeks to 10 week period, though they'll move with the adults, they tend to kind of stay around the mound, especially because it's nice and warm. And the pups are small, as you saw, those little cuties. And when they're small like that, they're even more likely to lose a whole lot of heat as they move about. So staying on a nice warm mound is very, very useful to them. And you'll find in the morning they'll go sit on the eastern side of the mound where it's been warmed up by the rising sun. Middle of the day, the sun's right above us, so they move around as they like. And then in the afternoons, sun setting to the west, and then they sit on that side of the mound before they turn in. Squirrels, very difficult to get. As soon as you stop, they run off. This is the area that the other day, when coming back from Kara, some green woodhoopers, I saw that the young male leopard that's been in the area just ran across the road. So maybe if we are patient here, that could be helpful. Just in this false marula, there's a couple birds that I like. I hope they'll be able to pop out so we can actually see them. But they're green woodhoopers. They're really, really pretty birds. Have a really nice sheen. And strangely, I found out recently. Oh, what have you got there? Oh, that is a tasty grub right there. Looks like a caterpillar. That is a goodie. Look how it's rubbing it against the bark of this false marula, trying to get those spiny bits off before it gobbles it down. I said, I recently found out that they can spray a foul-smelling liquid. It's not exactly them defecating, but it's similar. But they can spray that when they feel that they are being harassed or in danger. Oh, good clean. Gobble it, gobble it. Look at that, excellent. Well, it's going to have a good breakfast. That is a good-sized caterpillar. All right, well, let me send you over to Ngala. We're going to keep on driving.
Indeed, big smiles here at and beyond Ngala, where we have managed to find those lions we've been looking for. And I've seen about 7 of them here, and I'm pretty sure these are the same ones we had yesterday evening on the banks of the river. I think the only one that I can't see at the moment is that young male lion. And he's probably just off here somewhere to the side, lying behind a bush, what we can't see. But you can see the 2 white ones lying off there to the side. And yeah, it's been a real treat and quite interesting to see how far they have gone south, actually. And they've walked, potentially maybe 5 kilometers south of the river. And I think it's definitely been the nice cool weather from this morning and from yesterday afternoon, and of course even the evening, that helped them to do that. As we arrived, we did see a vulture sitting in a tree not too far from here. And that doesn't necessarily mean that there is a carcass. This area has got a high density of vultures, and I think just with cool and windy weather like today, you often do see vultures still sitting in a tree because they're just perched there, because there's no real hot air thermals for them to fly. And also just looking at these lions at the moment, that doesn't look like they're full. I can't see any blood on their faces or on their paws. So I doubt that they got something during the night. Unless if it was something very small. You can just see a few of them lifting their faces. It's the sound of a vehicle. All right, well, we're going to be sitting here definitely for a few minutes and still enjoy the sight. In the meantime, we'll send you over to Trish.
Here we have a nice dagger boy, old buffalo bull, all on his lonesome. He gave us a nice walk by. He's getting to that pan behind us. Let's turn around. He's gonna keep on moving now. There he goes. He's gotten a bit of spider web on his horns. Off he goes. It looked like some orb web, golden orb web spider, because it had that nice goldy sheen. He probably walked through a web. Poor guy. Imagine getting the actual spider on his face. I love these lone buffalo bulls. They have this kind of very grandfather character about them, and I like that. Anyway, let's keep on moving.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm here in Northern California.
This is an Anna's hummingbird. We love seeing him because he brings a little magic and energy to our cold, wintry backyard.
In the winter, they politely visit one at a time, but in the summer, they gorge themselves in groups to prepare for their long migration south. As the hummingbirds fly south, over 1 million of these Canadian geese travel the Pacific Flyway from the Arctic to spend the winter with us. They like wetlands and we're in a drought, but they seem pretty happy on the dry bank of Folsom Lake here. This has been a tough year everywhere, but one good thing was we found Wild Earth, who encouraged us to relieve our stress through nature. There's a saying that
a distraction is momentary, an escape helps you heal.
Being a safari driver requires some serious multitasking ability. You've got to be able to talk, look at the road, steer, and occasionally get the vehicle into the right gear.
Do not crash into any trees.
Oh, not
Just jump into the car and hope for the best, and you'll see where it takes you. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm surprised they're moving as fast as that didn't go well.
Who is the best driver? Well, me, of course, although some of the cam ops might disagree.
My name is Ross, and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinde Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is the call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oof.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
So we are still with these lions. We've just slightly repositioned to get a little bit of a different angle. And we're quite fortunate that young white lioness has been having her head up for most of the time. But it looks like she's slowly falling to sleep. Every now and then, head's dipping down. But I tell you, when they're sleeping like this, doesn't mean that they... Ooh, there's another lion just to the right of the vehicle that's walking towards the group. You can see these ones are lifting their heads because they can just hear the grass moving. It looks like one of the young males. So let's see if he goes all the way up. He might walk right up and then rub heads together. It's sort of a way that they greet. Let's see if he does it. Oh, that's quite nice. It's incredible how affectionate these lions are with each other. And that physical bonding is actually or that physical interaction with them and the other pride members is actually what makes their bond as a pride so strong. And being social cats, they need to reaffirm that relationship on a daily basis. And one of the ways they do that is with that physical interaction, which you sometimes can think that they've forgotten when you see them around a carcass. When they're all busy fighting and hitting each other in the face and biting. But then afterwards they tend to make peace, and that's just the life of a lion, really. You fight when you're eating, and then after that, it's hugs and cuddles. it doesn't look like these lions have got any other plans to be moving much further today. And I'm wondering, with them moving through the territory, it could be that they are just moving around, or they might be trying to join up with some of the others. Because remember that the whole Birmingham Pride at this moment is 20. Obviously all of them spread out at the moment, and we have about 8 of them. Yeah. Really been happy to find these ones. And so yeah, I think with them being here, doesn't look like they're going to be moving for much now. With the cool weather, they can actually be resting in the open, because what you normally would find if this was a normal hot summer's day, they'd be under the shade of a tree, where with this cool weather it's lovely. They can just be lie there. You can see the young male's getting up and he's busy licking his back, just doing a bit of scratching and grooming. Quite nice if he can stand up for us. But that's quite flexible. Putting his back paw all the way to the back there. And that's probably just a scratching from a fly and a tick. I mean, you can imagine them moving through the grass here. They get parasites and ticks in big quantities. So they often have to nibble and scratch their little itch. But it's been really, really, really fantastic to find these lions. It's been a long search for them, but what an absolute lovely way to be ending our drive. Just want to thank all our viewers for joining us today. And please stay safe and healthy. And we will see you on our next safari. And until then, cheers for now.